skilling for a better future, connecting the unconnected. So we have with us a very illustrious panel today covering all elements of the skilling ecosystem. To my right is Mr. Vishal Mathur from the Telecom Infrastructure Project, then Ms. Neetu Bhagat from AICT, Priyanka from Ericsson, Mr. Praveen Sirohi from TSSC, Mr. Rishikesh Patankar from NSDC, and after that, everybody knows Mr. Pankaj Mohindru from ICEA. So I'm going to hand over to my fellow panelists to give a brief introduction about themselves, and we will end with Pankaj, who will then moderate the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anjali. Good afternoon, everybody. Namaskar. My name is Vishal Mathur. I'm based in London, so I've come across for this panel today. I'm the Global Head of Engagement at Telecom Infra Project. We're a trade association with 200 plus industry members driving forward the building and the solution of cloud-native, disaggregated, interoperable networks. So you must have heard of Open RAN. Open transport, open Wi-Fi, there are lots of things around that, and we'll talk more about this. The best thing today is that we will be signing an agreement with TSSC today as a knowledge partnership, because we believe driving uplift in upskilling and new talent skilling is important for India in this wave of innovation in telecom networks. Thank you.
A very good afternoon to everyone. I am Dr. Neetu Bhagat from AICT. AICT is All India Council for Technical Education. It's a statutory body under Ministry of Education responsible for planned and coordinated development of technical education in the country. There are more than 16,000 institutions under AICT, technical and management both. I'm looking after skill development cell in AICT, so I'll be talking about the skill initiative of AICT today. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Glad to be here. I'm Priyanka Anand. I represent a company called Ericsson. It's a Swedish multinational, and we are in the business of telecommunications. We've been around for around 150 years, and we operate across 180 plus countries with 110,000 employees. What we provide is telecom infrastructure to all telecom operators across the world. And in India, we have been particularly responsible for deploying all 2G, 3G, 4G, and 5G infrastructure across the country. So for more than 50% of what you see as deployed infrastructure is coming from Ericsson. We are strong on innovation, and we have more than 25,000 employees in India. I had HR for Asia Pacific for this company in India, and been within HR for more than 2.5 decades. I'll talk more about my perspectives in the upcoming discussions.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to all of you. I'm Praveen Sirohi from Telecom Sector Skill Council. And as a part of that Sector Skill Council, our main aim is to be interact with the industries to design and develop their courses and to be convert them into the national curriculum. And then based on that, to be conducted various training in the telecom sector and then try to place them in the industries part. Over the past 10 years, we have conducted training more than the 10 lakhs, and the part of that, and we have more than that 600 companies to whom we are being in touch for the placement part. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Rishikesh Patankar. I work in the National Skills Development Corporation. I am looking after the government programs, particularly the Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana and Pradhan Mantri Vishwakarma scheme. Both these schemes are one of the largest, world's largest, in fact, skilling programs which Government of India has introduced. And my research interests are computer networks and e-governance, and look forward to interact with you. Thank you very much.
I'm Pankaj Mohindru. Anjali has already declared me as illustrious, like all the other panelists. Thank you, Anjali. It's a good compliment to have. My Facebook profile says Servant of India, and I sincerely try to walk that talk. Building India, changing mindsets is what we are effectively doing. And I have Arvind Bali is here, who had an illustrious career with TSSC. And our new CEO also is joining after some time. He is there. We'll probably announce it after some time. The script says to start with the government first, but let me start with the ladies. Priyanka, what do you think, what has changed after the last year? Because you've been a panelist here for many years. And what do you think has changed in the last 1 year as far as the skilling ecosystem is concerned? What are the challenges, fresh challenges?
So Pankaj, privileged to be called as somebody who's been here multiple times, but I'm of course being led by you. You've been an inspiration to be here in this panel for many years. When you talk about what the change has been, I just clearly see how the government is making such huge investments towards bridging the entire skill divide and creating digital inclusion for everybody that sits in this country across every single state and city that exists in the country. And the reason I say it is because even the budget that came across this year, we see so much of investments around apprenticeship, about how we will try and invest in upskilling of people and make sure that whatever it takes, it gets available to the last mile. And Ericsson has been a pioneer in partnering with lots of government bodies, including TSSC. And what we've clearly invested in is a program called Ericsson Educate, which kind of takes this entire agenda of the government forward. What we are trying to do is create an equal opportunity to learn for everybody who's either a professional, a student, or anybody who's interested in knowing technology. So we make sure that the technology that is cutting edge, whether it's around 5G, IoT, cloud compute, whether it's machine learning, whatever it is, right? It's made available to people. We work very closely with academia and industry leaders to make sure that the content is real-time, meaningful, and bringing value to both the industry as well as the students and professionals who are learning it. The second thing I would say is that we're also making sure that there are certifications that create accreditations for individuals investing in those learnings. So when they get those learnings, they become employable, and the industry can really validate what kind of competencies everybody has. And the third thing I would say is the learning is only half done when you take it through tutorials or only through reading and listening to lectures. What we also do is create real simulations. So we've heavily invested in 5G labs and more than 100 of them across the country. But more than that, simulated learnings, creating virtual labs, making sure that people get access to experts who are doing real-time work is also made available through Ericsson Educate to everybody. And lastly, I would say 300,000 people have already been covered through Ericsson Educate across the world. And this is the data as of end of last year. So the number would have almost exponentially grown even this year. But overall, the partnership and sponsorship coming from the government is so encouraging that the investments will go exponentially high, and the outcome to the industry will be far more rewarding than ever before, because what industry will get is employable talent coming from all quadrants possible, creating this entire equal opportunity for everybody who wants to be part of the telecom and the ICT industry.
Wonderful. Dr. Neetu Bhagat, I am going to ask you a very sensitive question. You can choose not to answer it. You know, this AICTE, NSDC, NCVET, the technical departments of various state governments, do you think we have a regulatory act right in terms of regulating technical education, skilling, etc.? Do you think this is the best possible? From the outside, it looks very chaotic. But you are an insider, and we had this pre-discussion. I was very impressed by your, intellectual honesty, the way you were debating with us. So I thought is a very good person to ask this question from. Is there order in the chaos, or you see there are huge gaps where India won't be able to meet the challenge?
Okay, your first question is...
This is getting recorded and it will be sent to everybody.
I know, I'm speaking
including
in public.
The education
I have
minister,
to take care of this. And let me tell you, your question is really sensitive. You are talking about the regulatory bodies in India, and kind of, doubt you are expressing in the, work that we have been doing. So let me tell you, without regulation, especially in education or skilling, there would be various issues which outsiders will not understand the kind of task AICT is doing. AICT is looking after 16,000 institutions, which are, most of them are private institutions, to how to ensure the well-being of the students, the faculty members, and the quality of the courses that they have been providing. In fact, we have been looking at the infrastructure of the institution also. We ensure safety of the students there. So I must say that...
Let me supplement it.
Yeah.
Medical Council of India, Dental Council of India. Probably there is a cycle repair council also. We don't know how many councils are there. Isn't it time that we aggregate under one umbrella, like the AICTE, which has got the full control of the technical education?
If you study the National Education Policy 2020, it is already written that there should be Higher Education Commission of India, where all the regulatory bodies, especially related to education, they should come under one umbrella, and they should be performing different tasks under the same umbrella. So this is already proposed in process, and we look forward to it.
No, that's a very good answer. I think it's very educative also to the audience, which is trying to find order in this. I'll go to Dr. Rishikesh Patnakar next. Similar question, but I think let's focus on the Skill Hub, Skill India Digital Hub, which is a great initiative. And please inform the audience, how many hits do you have? How many people are there on this platform now? And how do you see this becoming the order in the future? And anything around digital skilling.
So we already know that India is basically doing a lot of work in the digital transformation space. We already have 1.4 billion biometric available with the citizens. We have almost 25 billion Android app downloads which happen in India. We are number one in terms of Android app downloads in the country. If you see the number of smartphones, number of people on internet, the recent TRI survey, all these data suggest that India is just behind China in terms of utilizing the data. In fact, rural India is doing more, connecting more to the internet than urban India, which recent surveys, both the National Sample Survey organizations and other surveys which have come out. So digital transformation has happened. Similarly, fintech transformations have happened. In the skilling space, as Pankaj suggested, Skill India Digital Hub is a platform which has been created under Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship and has been done by National Skills Development Platform. This is a single platform where all the stakeholders in the skilling ecosystem can come together and can integrate their systems. So it is not just the Ministry of Skill, but other central government ministries, because most of the time we see there are projects or schemes which are done in silos. There is no interconnection between the ministries, but this through this platform, there are different central ministries which are now coming on a single platform and working together, be it Ministry of Non-Renewable Energy, be it MIT, be it Ministry of Rural Development, and similarly other ministries. Also, there's a big gap at the state level. So a lot of state government, there are certain legacy portals which are working. There's a lot of data at the state level as well. So we are trying to put all this data together. We are trying to integrate the state level data together as well, so that it becomes an integrated skilling framework. So Skill India Digital Hub, also known as SIDH, S-I-D-H, is now available for everyone to access and register. It is available at skillindiadigital.gov.in. This is the web URL, and all of you can basically download the app. The app and the web platform is seamlessly integrated between themselves. So if you leave something, if you leave some learning on the web platform, you can access it through the mobile platform. So there is a seamless integration. Also, SIDH is now the part of the digital public infrastructure, the DPI, which is under the Digital India platform of MIT. And this is how there are a lot of public APIs which are available. It is linked with the DigiLocker. It is linked with other apps which are available and a lot of functionality and flexibility is there in the systems. If you see the candidates' journey in the skilling ecosystem, right from the registration, which is done through eKYC, so that there is no deduplication, the whole training, the whole assessment is done online, and there is a offline assessments which are done, and it is uploaded onto the platform. So everything is seamless. The certification is seamless. The certificates are basically pushed to the DigiLocker so that candidates can download it. So if you see, the whole ecosystem has now come online, and only part remaining is the training. So we see a lot of physical training happening because it cannot be avoided, plus a lot of online training which has come into the system. So we are trying to find out a middle way where the physical and the digital part interact, and the platform provides all that flexibility to work with. There are multiple state governments, as I said, there are multiple training providers, training centers. There are a lot of schools, colleges, universities, private ITIs, government ITIs which are onto the platform. So there's a huge transactions which happen. The whole platform is basically hosted on a public cloud so that there is no downtime. The site is accessible on a mobile phone as well, as I suggested. If you see the numbers in the PMKVY, we have almost 150, 1 crore 50 lakh. That is the target for us in PMKVY. So these numbers would be registered onto this platform. Parallelly, we also have a national NSDC Academy, where there are non-funded partners and funded partners who are working on skilling ecosystem. They are also on the platform. So there are a lot of hits which come. We are trying to get the information security built into the system. We are already a ISO 27001 organization. So ISO certifications are already there. Cyber security is a big threat. We have to basically secure the whole platform because there's a lot of stuff which is going on in the cyber security space. So we need to protect our citizens. We need to provide digital skills and financial skills. So the whole platform is an integrated platform for skilling. So I'll urge everyone to download the SID app and try to see how it works. Thank you.
Dr. Patnagar, you are a terrific ambassador for this platform, I must say. I think we all know about this platform really deeply. A question for you, Praveen. Do you think how much of proximity training will be left after we have digitized and, with AI, mixed reality, augmented reality, say 2030, will there be proximity training, like somebody explaining things in person?
No, sir. Basically, as you said, that most of the things are moving toward the AI, ML, and other particular part. And we realized that though that SIDH is just started by the NSDC, we realized this basically 2-3 years before, when after the Corona, we were being sitting, and then we were thinking that as a part of that, the main agenda what we are having in that particular, whether it's giving and training and the placement, these are the two major agenda of that kind of things. So when we realized this at that time, and 2 years of the journey of that, what we see that lot of attractions are coming. And then SIDH, what the ZK is saying, in line that actually we developed that 2 years before, more than that 83,000 already been registered on our particular and getting that trained on the job roles, and particularly even because that, of course, that SIDH is a big platform as in nationally on that. We were the first sector skill council who would able to do this API integration with the NSDC in the month of the March of this year only. And in last 6 months, we get more than the 7,000 of the complete training through the SIDH, and we had that revenue pattern with them also with that, and then we are getting that revenue also, few courses which are being paid and more attractive countries. In the parallelly, sir, we think that when the part of the placement to be contact with the each and every physically to the person and the trade kind of things. So when we develop this our platform related to that telco jobs, so more than the 3 lakhs has already been registered, and we are finding that now the industries are being more than the 6,000-7,000 industries already been registered on that particular platform on that. And we are finding now that automatic, first we have to push that all the registration kind of thing. Now automatic by the our various platform which we are being using on that related to LinkedIn and everything. Lot of self registrations are coming, and those registrations are the real job seeker kind of things. And we are finding them to be very easily placed with our industries on the part of that. Basically, the one side is that related to the entire government programs and whatever be there is have that kind of the regulations at every part of that. But over a period when we found that, because ultimate task is to be a great training and kind of thing through the placement. And as you said that by the 2030, what we are being saying, the most of that classroom physical training will be obsolete, and it would be more interactive, more related to the check, because the difference between the physical and that particularly that online whatever we are be doing is that the monitoring that whether the person is really getting that kind of that skill under him, why this kind of thing. So we ourselves in the platform are being developing the intermediate kind of things, and then scaling them and judging them whether they are being successfully completing or not. And based on that, those who are being getting higher marks on that particularly, that very easy to be placed them kind of things.
Very good, very good. Please, Priyanka.
I think it's a very fair point that a lot of heavy lifting will now start to happen through technology platforms, right? Where one-to-many and exponential growth in how many you want to train can happen through a lot of digital platforms. People can be given more curated learning experiences. You can make people empowered, or you can make them the CEOs of their own careers, where they decide what they want to learn, when they want to learn, how they want to learn. But I still feel there will be a fair share of physical learning, because what physical learning brings to you is value of getting people together in situations and simulations where you learn from each other. A lot of times isolated learnings are great to ingrain lots of tacit knowledge where you understand what the concept is, but to bring it to practice, working along with people in job shadowing or on-the-job learning, or also performing shadow jobs or project work makes a huge difference. So what we've seen, at least within Ericsson, that we are doing a good 80-20 split, where 80% of our learnings are happening through technology platforms. They're virtual. People can decide how they want to learn, when they want to learn. But a large amount of impact also comes when you take it to the next level with physical learning. So I still feel it will never go away. The human touch, working with the real products, touch and feel with the trainers, with the experts, will bring a lot of value, but not for basic knowledge, but for the advanced one.
Okay, let me ask, what about mixed reality then? You produce Priyanka Anand, you parachute her in person somewhere there. So you are as good as physically.
Correct.
There.
So this whole thing about virtual reality is really about, so there's a lot of science that says, will experts be even needed? Because experts can be replaced by technology that can solve a lot of my advanced queries as well, if I'm somebody who's trying to just learn a technology. And it's also quite evident that, yes, so the experts have to invest in them much more than ever before to stay relevant. Because the machine can be only as smart as how humans are feeding it. But beyond that, humans can be smarter by investing in themselves. So no longer is the logic that only the people at the bottom of the pyramid who are the new joiners or the new talent needs to invest. The experts have to invest in their learning more exponentially to stay relevant and bring value. So I would say virtual reality brings real-time experiences, but it's still leveraging humans who are giving the learnings.
Yeah, if you look at something really organic like repairing a mobile phone, I guess digitally only you can teach so much, because then you really have to do it by hand. So maybe if it's 8 weeks, digital can be 5 or 6 weeks, but you really have to do it on the job, which is organic. Anjali. Anjali, I'll ask you a very sensitive question as the president of TSSC, right?
Yes, please.
And we have been around for 10 years. Do you think we did a reasonable job? Good job, though I won't say. Do you think we did a reasonable job meeting the aspirations and the needs of the nation and the industry?
So I'll give that answer in two parts. Reasonable job, yes. Maybe complete job, no. because I like the word that Priyanka used, employable talent. I mean, this whole thing, this session is about connecting the unconnected, people who are not getting into the work stream, and what do we need to do about it. So we have the entire ecosystem of the skilling stakeholders which is with us today, the industry which leads in terms of saying what they want, AICT about how do you get them there, NSDC about the overall framework, etc. Priyanka, you and I are all part of the industry-led body. So the I think the fabric needs to get stitched. It's there in pieces. The new education policy has come in. It has decided that it is going to start this at the very inception along with academic institution. Then you have people coming out, and I am a strong believer in TSSC's future, because we will now be skilling for Industry 4.0. When you have all these solutions in the IoT things that are coming, the people who come out of this work stream can fit into every industry. So we have a far larger responsibility than specific sector councils. There's another element that the government has brought in, while TSSE was doing the certificate assessment and all. I think it was the placement part which was missing. So we now have the internship scheme which has been announced, which is again encouraging the industry to use part of their CSR funds to start bringing these so-called less employable talent into the work stream. So I think if we stitch it all together, TSSC is skilling, it is, certifying, and then we have those people placed, into large industries, which then take it to come back to Priyanka's point. The 80% has been done, but then the 20% needs to be done on job, on training. The need of the hour, Pankaj, is that we bring it all together and deliver the synergy of a perfect solution. Thank you.
I'll stay with you. That was a very good answer. But what do you think is the role of the private sector in this? Because we are always looking at the government as the gap, this is wanting and so on and so forth. A very senior guy in manufacturing told me recently that the best trained people are in India and the worst trained people are also in India. This, I think, speaks about what the whole system is all about, because Indians are all over the world, taking jobs all over the world. But you see, the raw material is not up to the mark. So what do you think is the role of the private sector?
So I would say, actually, in a way, when we talk about employability, it starts with us. It starts with the industry. Because the first thing is that before anybody jumps into it, they need to know what the demand is. What does the industry want? If we don't do that, then we are just doing some literally academic training without having an idea on the fit. So we would be, I would say, both at the beginning and at the end of the chain. First, we should engage heavily with the skilling ecosystem to say that what is it, what are the kind of people. And as you know, in technology at least, things keep changing, the nature of the job. So do you need new work talent? Do you need to upskill your existing work talent? What is the demand? And based on that demand, I think the rest of the skilling ecosystem has to then come up with a solution to fill that demand. And at the end of it, then it comes back into the industry to then they get what they asked for.
Vishal, I was coming to you.
Perfect.
This, the telecom world is fascinated with this disaggregated architecture called ORAN. Is it a reality? Is it going to happen in a robust manner, or this will be just a fad which will pass away? And consequently, what are the skilling challenges? Because we are trained in a certain manner, like landline to mobile was, one step. This is a different architecture.
Thank you.
Twin questions, actually.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to follow on from what Anjali said as well. Number one, I want to start with saying that if you work in telecoms, stay in telecoms because there's actually a world of wonderful change happening. If you're considering coming to join in telecoms, definitely do that because you can start to bring a whole convergence of skills to the table that is needed in this industry. I'll start with that as a positive. The reason why I'm saying that is why is there a need for new talent or upskilling is because there is effectively a wave of change happening in the standards industry as well as within the industry itself on opening up how networks are built and deployed, tested, etc. Now, we've learned for years and years from Ericsson, from Nokia, from Samsung, from these guys. They are institutions. And to your point as well, Priyanka, you actually drive a lot of the network that we take for granted. But there is a need for change because actually we need more choice to be able to address the connecting the unconnected, to drive more capacity in the cities, to help to drive forward more Industry 4 or Industry 5 solutions, whatever Industry 5 is, I have no idea. But still, if you think about it, in the network now, there is a change. Instead of one vendor, there is a choice on the hardware. There is a choice in terms of software. There's a choice in terms of AI, ML applications on top. There's a choice in cloud infrastructure. Now, a general engineer who has been brought up in a telco or an integrator or a vendor will be sitting there going, what is this? I have no idea. How do I plan around this? How do I design around this? How do I define what my solution requirement is? How do I architect it? How do I test it, integrate it? These are general skills that we need to teach to our telecom professionals who are already in a job or not in a job, so that they can be re-employed. Add on to the fact that actually, because it's moving towards cloud-based AI infrastructures, it brings about a whole convergence of software development, programming, into radio telecom engineering, into understanding cloud, into understanding AI and cybersecurity. That's going to attract those great people who are going through universities now, who are thinking about which job to get into. And actually, if we create the right pathways, as Anjali is saying, that the industry defines the requirement and has come the other end in offering opportunities, then we start to really drive the machine of training into job. Is this really happening? Open RAN? Yes. I mean, not at scale, because it's a complex thing. It's happening in other parts of a network, in a Wi-Fi network, in a transport network, in the cloudification, in the AI ML development. There's lots of great positive change happening in this industry. But so what does that mean for India? From my perspective, I'm sitting here coming to India saying, India, come to the table with talent and skill and capabilities because it's in dire need globally. There's nowhere else that has the pot of talent pool that can be orchestrated here. So we need to fundamentally drive forward an accelerated change program. Go from the starting point of what the actual requirement set is and drive forward from government endorsement to academia to industry need and create opportunities for those who are reskilled or upskilled and those who are effectively coming in fresh to get them into the job and bring curricula into the table, get them somewhat on board, bring labs into picture so that there's hands-on practical learning, and then on-the-job training. There's lots that can be done there. In TIP, we've created a TIP Academy. We want to work with TSSC to bring some fresh curriculum to the table. That's what we're bringing. So from our perspective, we're at the starting point. I think I need to work with industry because that's the starting point for expression of requirement and actually driving forward some new skills in the profession. then we can work with academia and work with government subsidies or endorsement to drive forward new talent into the Indian marketplace.
Priyanka, you are dying to supplement this. Huh? I could see that. I can sense it.
I'm impressed. There's a lot of telepathy happening. So just last month, we launched something called Ericsson Edge. Now, again, too many Ericssons, but I think what's unique about this whole initiative is that we intend to sign up with more than 100 plus universities across Asia so that there's a very strong industry, academia, and learning partnership, right? What clearly then happens is you are not being driven by technology disruption, but you're driving the technology change. And to me, that's going to be the fundamental in the future, which is now, like what we're saying, the future is now. And when we have those partnerships, you understand what technology changes are we experiencing, what is the business expecting from us, what are the customers expecting from us, and then we co-create those learning solutions. And what happens with those partnerships is that we don't bridge the gap when we need the talent and the skills. We build those skills up front in the universities up front. And what people get is real-time learning experiences to bring to the industry when they walk into the industry as a working population. And to me, the stronger this partnership with industry academia gets, and the more widespread it becomes, and the more students become attuned to being technically equipped and employable from the get-go, the narrower the gap will become. And to me, this partnership is going to be fundamental in driving the technology change at the pace which will become more palatable to all the sections of this industry and academia.
Yeah, please, 30 seconds.
Can I follow on from what Priyanka is saying? I think that's a fantastic initiative. It's so good because actually you're getting good talent already being built for the industry. Now, when I say industry, it doesn't mean a telecom operator. It's hard to find jobs in any given market. But if we're looking at the fact that we are opening up ecosystems, even Ericsson is opening up its ecosystem around R apps and X apps, that's going to be bringing in startups and a developer ecosystem. Go to AWS, go to Google, go to Microsoft. They are creating ecosystems, but they're all functioning within the telco sector. That means there are jobs open. That means there's a need for fresh talent, people who have the skills ready built to be able to come in and walk into a job or be shadowing, mentored, get apprenticeship, whatever. But what industry needs to do is be much more savvy about, this is not about getting a permanent job. This can be about a temporary job. It's about mentorship, apprenticeships. We need to be much more innovative on the job front side. And there are portals that are available to show that there are jobs available. So let's start to create a value chain there.
Great. So I'll just move on to apprenticeship and apps.
Don't move just now.
Yes.
So
20 seconds.
again, there is a change that is happening in the environment, and now we have something in government which is called young professionals. We didn't have that earlier, So there are these young kids who are following the trained, seasoned professionals now, learning by seeing, before they come to learning by doing. I'm seeing that in the medical fraternity also, that you will have the trainees who are actually sitting in the doctor's offices, watching, observing. So I think that's an absolutely very interesting part, and maybe that in itself can also be built into the skilling, curriculum where, there's internship opportunities which they are getting. They learn a lot more by being part of that environment without being just, dropped into the deep end.
I'll just move on to apprenticeship and apps. This is for Dr. Bhagat and Dr. Patankar. But you don't have 1 hour to answer this because give a precise answer. This great apprenticeship scheme and NAPS and all of this, do you understand, realize that industry finds apprenticeship beyond a particular level very disruptive because you have to invest too much time there? Or do you think it's a win-win for everybody?
So the National Apprenticeship Program in its typical avatar earlier was a hit amongst the public sector units, and a lot of people actually who went through the apprenticeship program were absorbed. And the current scheme, the National Apprenticeship Scheme, where the apprentices are basically exposed to the industry, and they try to learn on the job. And out of them, some of them get absorbed and some go out. So that we have experienced and seen. There are international models which have been very successful in the countries like Australia, Holland, and Germany, where we have seen the apprenticeship has been a successful initiative. But as in the Indian context, because the whole world is changing and technology is continuously continuously changing the whole dynamics of the things. In some time, we see that industry see them as a burden. I don't know, but typically speaking, I think apprenticeship is a good scheme, and it has to be there. And the young people need to be exposed onto the realms of the world, so that they are able to understand, acclimatize, and then try to work. We have seen in the defense forces where the novices are taken to the ships, taken to the submarines, and they work on them. Similarly, in heavy industries, heavy engineering, we have seen. In railways, we have seen there was a very successful scheme under Ministry of Railways. All that we have seen. So I think in the typical industry 4.0 and 5.0, the scheme will come in a new avatar, like the internship scheme has been announced. Similarly, I think industry in the current age will also accept it and accept the challenge, and youth of the country will surely be successful through this. Thank you.
Dr. Bhagat? For apprenticeship, you think it's necessary to integrate the industry with academic bodies, or apprenticeship has a loose, long rope type of curriculum?
Let me tell you, you have already heard about the NACS and NAP scheme under the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. Now, what Ministry of Education is doing in this regard that I'll be talking about. First of all, let me answer the first question, which I felt I was not prepared, but I could have said more things. Actually, AICT has played a huge role in the technical development of this country. Most of the students who are coming out of IITs and NITs, they are getting good jobs in MNCs and mostly going out of the country. So in this country, maximum students who are working for the country and are in the various sectors, they are from the AICT approved institution, and every year 12 lakh students are coming out of AICT approved institution, and their contribution to the society and the industry and for the country is huge. And AICT's role in this regard is creating the policies which are creating, some conducive environment for the education and skilling. One such a step is Apprenticeship Embedded Degree Program. Let me tell you, till 2019, there was no such provision under Apprenticeship Act that the students who are studying in the educational institution can undergo apprenticeship. In 2019, there was a change in the apprenticeship rule, and this provision of degree apprentice was introduced. But because guidelines were not ready how to, implement this scheme, this could not take place in the desired speed. Recently, AICT has developed these apprenticeship embedded degree programs guidelines. And these guidelines will enable all degree and diploma programs, even PG programs, to embed 1 to 2 year apprenticeship program in their curriculum. And these guidelines, with these guidelines, every year we will be seeing at least 10 lakh students who are ready to take those apprenticeship. But the major issue would be that industry is not yet ready to consume them. Apprenticeship slots are not available. For this, actually, government has created various supporting schemes and incentives for the industry. But still, until unless this whole initiative will be a win-win situation for both the parties, that is academia, students, and the industry, it won't be successful. So therefore, the implementation of this scheme in true spirit is really required. For this, we have kept various provision under this scheme so that apprenticeship are actually implemented in the structured way. Various good curriculums are being developed by AICT including the emerging technologies. These students, when they will be going to the industry, they'll bring a new perspective to their work. So this is how we are planning that this scheme can be made a win-win situation for industry and academia. And we hope that, maximum students will be taking this scheme. And for this, AICT will be doing lots of awareness program, faculty development program, awareness with the industry, as well as various curriculum, including the telecom sector curriculum, which we have already started working on. We are incorporating the emerging technologies with them. And with this, I think this scheme is going to be a successful scheme. Thank you.
Wonderful. I think we are all proud of AICT, and we'll be prouder if 30, 40 countries adopt the AICT curriculum, because that will be proof that it has efficacy across the world. Because real success is when we are able to bring, the GDP of other countries into our country.
I want to say something more about this. Department of Telecommunication with the UGC, they have come up with a document where they have identified 16 areas where we need to amend the curriculum. We are doing that. They have suggested this for AICT approved institution. We have already circulated with all the institution, and with the help of National Communications Academy, this is the apex training institution under DOT, we are going to implement those programs.
Thank you. Anjali, I'm coming to you now. This initiative, TSSC's initiative to reskill 10,000 technicians of India's towers for telecom electrical safety, the We Care program, right? You think it's a great initiative that you are only working for one corporate instead of doing your national duty, so to say?
No. So this is just, I think, one of the areas that was pointed out that, there are people who are working on towers, and it is an important thing, to ensure their safety. And this, I can say, it came from the Vodafone group, It was a Farm Tokely certification, which the group was running, and it was introduced in India. And very nicely, I think TSSC has picked up the need for that, and they've tied up to train the technicians from Indus Towers. I think right now it is maybe the telecom ecosystem that they're looking at, but this working at heights and safety is something as a program that can be rolled out across industries. So in summary, Pankaj, yes, this is a good step forward.
Very good. I think they say when a man is dying, his life, runs in his mind. So it's coming to an end now. I'll give you 1 minute each, if there are any last thoughts.
Before that, Pankaj, I think I would like to ask you, the same flip of the question that you asked me.
Please.
That, you've seen this skilling initiative right from its inception, So how far have we come? And how far will we go?
See, honestly, I'm not doing a post-appraisal of Arvind and General Kochar, but it's a combination. This is an ecosystem. And NSDC, ICA, COAI, we are all partners in this. It was to create an ecosystem. I would say I'll give ourselves 5 out of 10, frankly. But it was not that something was breaking down, because the private sector was taking up, taking the heavy lifting, doing the heavy lifting and doing the bulk of the training. The objective of the government to move to vocational training as a foundation of the education system is gradually getting established. And I think it takes time, and if you have the spiritual high ground that we want to build the nation, then it gradually happens. We have many fault lines. I'm not TSSC only, but I'm saying the ecosystem has many fault lines. As far as the fault lines are concerned, I'd like to mention a few fault lines. The first biggest fault line in India is the participation of women in the workforce. At 10%, which is the participation in Uttar Pradesh, an economy can't become a tiger economy, so to speak. So this, because it's a lopsided thing. The second biggest weakness of India is that with 18% people, we are 3.5% of the global GDP. So we are on, very frugal capital in terms of availability. That's the second very. The third big weakness is that Indian companies are growing horizontally. They are not becoming world beaters. Like Ericsson doesn't have a poultry farm, for example, or doesn't have a hotel. They have been focused on something for the last 100 years. This is how you create global champion. The US also, you study the top 300 companies there. And there is a lesson in skilling for this because you specialize, the group specializes, and you become more and more skilled. It's all about skills, capital, environment, and passion. That's how you create excellence. We see now that passion is there, environment is there, the skills are developing. Fortunately, capital doesn't seem to be in a shortage in India at this moment. We are in a sweet spot as far as that is. But I hope I have answered your.
Very much so. I think it's good for us to all introspect again about what is it that is still missing in the system. And in my closing point, one thing that I mention at almost every forum is that there are competencies that are being taught. There's training that is being arranged. But somewhere the candidate needs the soft skills, the presentation, the ability to interact. Again, it comes back to the point about 80-20. 80% is academic online, but that 20 needs to be with people. The candidate could have the best competency, but if he or she is not able to present it to their future employer, I think somewhere they lose out. And these candidates who we are talking about, they need those the most, because those who come out of premier or good institutions, I think somewhere either in their family settings or in their education environment, they learn to engage and talk. The candidates that we are talking about, the bottom of the pyramid, they need this to be built into the curriculum, to be built into the training. And I think that's another piece that we must look at.
Thank you. Vishal?
Thank you. My final point. We're in a 5G world, right? So we've got maybe 10 years before 6G comes, God forbid what that is. But in my mind, we need to be bringing fresh talent into this sector because effectively, globally, there's an aging population, an aging workforce. We need to address a number of different issues through that. So my proposal and proposition is to try and drive a coordinated approach in terms of upskilling, training, hard and soft skills with the industry. And I'm giving a proposal which is we've got a curriculum which is designed by the industry for the industry. So we'd like to try and work together in a coordinated fashion and really help to drive a change in terms of skills in the industry so that it can transform before it hits 6G.
Ma'am, you rightly said that, soft skills are really important for the holistic development of the student. And let me tell you, AICT has taken various quality initiatives. One of the most important initiative is that we have modified the curriculum, the model curriculum for UG, PG, diploma programs. And we have reduced the academic credits almost 30-40%. We have introduced credits related to soft skills, other skills, as well as, internship has been made mandatory for all these students. 50% of the credits can be taken through the skill-based courses, as well as online courses. 40% of the courses can be done in the online mode. So various initiatives have already been taken place. Change takes time, and we hope that with the time, the impact of these initiatives will be visible. Other than this, I can see that all the audience here mostly are from the industry. So I would like to request all of them to please participate in the AICT initiatives, collaborate with the academia. Please, open some internship opportunities in your companies. There is one portal of AICT, that is AICT internship portal. There you can post the internship, and relevant student can be selected through the portal itself. So I think the change will start, the employability starts from the industry itself. So your participation with the education will be really crucial. Thank you.
Thank you. Priyanka?
Thanks, Dr. Neeru. I will just start by saying that I feel proud that we belong to the India that is here today, where we are really talking about upskilling as the only battle we want to fight. I think the world is all getting consumed in wrong wars and wrong battles to fight. The only battle we all need to fight is upskilling, reskilling and skilling ourselves and the people that we can touch, and as many as we can. Because once we skill the people, they become the real assets that we need to be the most progressive nation that we want to be. The three things I will say is, number one, extremely important, that zero learning or zero skilling should be zero tolerance. That everybody around us has to have that mindset and embrace that mindset. Unless we learn, we evolve, there is no way to be at the helm of driving the revolution or the evolution we want to drive for this country. Number two, it's extremely important that technical skills, like Anjali and I think Vishal and Dr. Neetu also said, is very well complemented by soft skills. And I refrain from using the word soft skills to calling them power skills, because to me, that's where we are empowering people with strong technical skills to become employable. So unless we invest in power skills with the same intent and appetite as technical skills, we will not be able to bridge the divide. But just upskilling people is only battle half won. To really succeed in this entire journey, we've got to have a mindset and an attitude to hire people and give people opportunities for capability, for appetite on learning, right, versus proven competence. The moment we as industry and academia start hiring people for potential versus competence, that's where the change will happen. And the last thing I will definitely wrap up by saying is, the change has to begin with us. There's nobody else who's going to come and do it for us. We have to start to drive that change. If all of us sitting here in this panel and in this audience believe in this change, we will be able to make it happen.
Rain?
Yes, sir. Basically, sir, as Anjali went told, and from the queue, everybody is more focusing on the soft skill exchange. I just give you an example. Basically, when we go to the industry and whatever be the candidate has been trained with the various domain, and then most of the time what happened at the first round, because mostly the first round is always be a HR round. So that candidate disqualified at the beginning of, he can only show his skills, whatever, suppose it is splicing or whatever be. He can show later on when he's been on the role of that job. But basically he failed that particular, and we are working on it. Recently when signed an MOU with the Cultus, that is basically to be the job readiness programs. Basically the trained the candidates, they are well aware about related job readiness and they are ready to clear those kind of the role. So we are working on that, sir.
Dr. Shankar?
So I'll give a different perspective. Actually, India has not been able to do well in the Industrial Revolution 1, 2, and 3. But based on the current scenario, India has done pretty well in Industrial Revolution 4.0. And I believe in Industrial Revolution and the transformations which are happening for 4.0 and 5.0, India would be ready. And as the topic suggests, connecting the unconnected, let us connect the unconnected and become a Viksit Bharat by 2047. Thank you.
Great. I think it was very engaging. We have opportunity for one or two questions. Anybody in the audience? Yes, please.
My question is to Neetu ma'am. Ma'am, if you see in India, we need a more amount of cyber security professionals. If you go to US and China, they have deployed massive cyber security professionals, not only in the educational front, also in the defense and all the areas. But if you see in education of India, forget about the schools. The colleges also do not carry the cyber security programs. So how actually, I'm not talking about the engineering colleges, maybe other colleges. How actually will cope up those kind of situations when India need to have a 5 lakh cyber security professionals to protect the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister to defend the digital public infrastructure he is building?
It's a very valid question. This need has been identified by the government also, and therefore Department of Telecommunication along with AICT are planning to do various first faculty development programs, for the AICT approved institution faculty members, and then those courses will be delivered to the students. So we are working for this. Major MOU with the Department of Telecommunications Training Agency has already been done, and the curriculum on cyber security has already been developed and it has been circulated to all the institution. It is happening, but takes time. Definitely, it will be implemented. Yes.
Anyone else, please? Are you taking a selfie or are you asking a question? Okay, I think that's it. We've come to the end of the program. Can I request Arvind to come and hand over some mementos, please?
Yes, now we can have the group photo.